afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. At this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Gail Cantanella to come to the podium to deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Good. I hope you're staying cool. So a couple weeks ago, we had an art camp at our church, and over 50 kids from all over Toledo, including 2 of my grandchildren, came to do art and music and dance and acting and outdoor education. And on Thursday night, my granddaughter, who's a little dramatic, came up to me and said, "Grandma, I do not want to do the performance tomorrow." And I Anyway, as I was saying, I don't think it's on. Okay. So I said, let's talk about it in the morning. Let's not make a decision now. So the next morning, she's like, "Oh, Grandma, I just can't do it. Don't make me do it." I said, "You don't have to do it, but, you can change your mind." So I caught up with her about 10 o'clock in the morning and said, "Well, what do you think? How's it going?" And she said, "Grandma, my friends gave me encouragement. They have made me brave. They will dance on either side of me. It will be great." And it was. And it struck me how important it is to have community who encourages you, who lifts you up, who reminds you of all the things that you can do and maybe inspires you to work a little harder. And isn't that what we have here in our Rotary Club? We every week gather to learn and inspire and encourage each other. And so we should be very grateful for that. We should pray in gratitude every day for this community that we've developed, for the new members, for the leadership of President Kevin, for all the good things that have happened this past year. Let us say a prayer of gratitude for that and look forward to what's to come. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Gail. It feels fitting at this time for me to acknowledge and just appreciate the hard work of our AV team, Dominic and Zach. When they came in the morning and found that the speakers weren't working, it makes it a little more challenging to do a meeting. And so obviously, as you can see, they've pivoted, added some remote speakers, and we're doing our best today, so thank you. All right, I'm just going to hold this one. All right, I also want to acknowledge and thank our this month's meeting sponsor, Max Reddish, a realtor with Danbury. Is Max in the room? Yes, he is. Let's give him a round of applause. Max, thank you very much. All right, if anybody has any guests, Zach is in the middle of the room with the floor mic. Please head there, introduce your guests with their name and where they work.
President Kevin, fellow Rotarians and guests, I would like to introduce the new executive director of the JOSH project. This is Larry Butts, and Larry is the executive director of a project that was born out of tragedy. He had a first cousin that died, and the JOSH project has now taught over 1,000 kids ages 5 to 7 how to swim. So thank you.
Awesome. Larry, thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. President Kevin, today I have with me a very special young lady who just so happens to be my girlfriend in town. She is a nurse in the Mercy system out in Rocky River. So this is her first ever Rotary meeting, so everyone welcome her.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Kevin and fellow guests, Rotarians, sorry. I want to introduce Aaron Ifland. He is a Danbury realtor out of the Perrysburg Group and a pending new member.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I see at least 2 people I'm going to acknowledge, but I'm curious if we got any other visiting Rotarians in the room from other clubs. I want to take a moment and just recognize we got visiting Rotarian and a past district governor, Gary Newton, with us. Gary, thank you for being here. And maybe my favorite person that lives in Tim Ryan's house, Tim's significantly better half, Cindy Allen. Cindy, thank you. This time I invite Adam Cassidy to come forward to talk about flowing forward. I'm just going to take this out of the...
Thank you. And on your tables, there is a flyer. If you haven't seen it yet, we've had a couple conversations and announced the Flowing Forward event. It is this Friday. It is out in Defiance, so a little bit of a drive, but an important event to come to. So in 2014, as we all know, we had a water crisis in Toledo. We could not drink our water for a number of days. And since then, the city of Toledo has gotten really good at cleaning our drinking water. And a lot of people think that because we haven't had a water crisis, that the lake water is better. That is not the case. The lake water continues to get worse. We have had algae blooms in Lake Erie worse than 2014. We just don't talk about it anymore because it doesn't affect our drinking water. But cleaning our lake is still an issue and a growing issue. So what do we do about it? We know that we can plant trees. Trees absorb nutrients, they slow the flow of water, they help mitigate the problem, but they don't fix the problem, they don't solve it. Solving the problem is stopping the flow of phosphorus into Lake Erie, which causes the algae blooms. So what do we do about that? That's what you need to come to Flowing Forward to figure out. It is a research facility out in Defiance. It's a partnership between DARA, which is the Defiance Agricultural Research Association, OSU Extension, doing research out there on how to do agricultural applications of phosphorus, of fertilizer that will reduce the amount of phosphorus going into Lake Erie. So it's fixing the problem. We're revitalizing that facility. The Toledo Club has funded it. The Defiance Club has chipped in, District 6600 through a special assistance grant, and also our neighbors to the north, District 6400, which is southeast Michigan and then over into Canada as well. So a great partnership between a number of Rotary clubs and districts, as well as those partners out there. So it is on Friday. It's a lunch, so come out and get lunch. It's free, and you'll get a tour of the facility, see all the work that they're working on. There's other tables, vendors that will be out there doing education. It's being marketed to both the Rotarians and farmers, so there'll be both populations of people there learning a lot. And you do have to register. So look at the flyer on your table. And also, if you want to carpool, Kim Danes has gotten the Salvation Army to donate the use of a van. So connect with her if you want to carpool out there. And then we'll hopefully see some of you out there.
Awesome. Adam, thank you very much. All right, thank you to those who attended our third annual Member Awards last week. This was the first chance I've been able to attend, and it is a phenomenal event. It was a lot of fun. Somebody told me afterwards they saw it was at an attorney's office, and they were like, yeah, I thought it was going to be stuffy. It definitely was not. Rotarians know how to have fun. An open bar certainly helps with that. But we had a really good time and an opportunity to sort of celebrate the year and celebrate Rotarians who helped make that happen. At this time, I'd like to ask, if he's in the room, I don't know if I've seen him, Gary Corrigan. Is Gary here? All right. Well, that will be the second irony that Gary won the award for best attendance. Jackie, we might have to go back and recalculate that one and see if somebody else takes it. All right, I do know he's here. How about Kurt Church? Kurt, could you please come to the stage? Congratulations, Kurt, for being the Rotarian with the most engagement this year. Kurt had 25 engagement hours, which included 11 committee meetings, numerous social events, and service hours. Kurt, congratulations. Thank you very much. See if these are in the right order.
Nope. Oh, yes, it is.
It is in the right order.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. One more round of applause for Kurt. Thank you. Other special honors go to Kim Danes for bringing the most guests this year. It is fitting that Kim brought a guest today. Thank you. Keeping that streak alive. Alex Dew was voted as the committee member of the year. The new Member of the Year award goes to Mortada Hadusi. I had to get that one right. I have to say it, Mortada. Mo, congratulations. Dr. Shanda Gore received the Leadership Award. And Emily Zarecki was named the Member of the Year. Congratulations. All right, I am very excited for today's program. For new Rotarians that may not know, the structure of Rotary, obviously you're familiar with our club, but there are Rotary clubs all across Northwest Ohio, really all across the world, and each of those clubs are combined into a district. The district into zones, and then the zones report up to Rotary International, whose headquarters is in Evanston, Illinois. Our district appoints a district governor to lead over that district. We've been blessed this year to have a member of our club serve as the district governor, and if I do say so myself, he's done an incredible job. And I'm pleased to welcome him for a little fireside chat. How about a big round of applause for our very own district governor, Tim Ryan.
Thank you very much. We'll go sit. Where's the fire?
Dominic, can we work on that? All right, so we're going to get comfortable. So I put some questions together for Tim and I to be able to stay focused. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's happened. Certainly, Tim and I started this journey in a somewhat rocky space as I led a district-wide coup to reject his budget. And it's difficult to run a year without a budget, but we ultimately got one. And I think we started some effective communication at the district level. Tim, as you look back at your year as district governor, if you had to pick one accomplishment that you're most proud of, what would it be, and why does it matter to members of this club?
Do you know that I am the only district governor in the history that Rotary is aware of that had his budget refused?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And we should talk about the rockiness. I think we've worked together for 12 years or so. I think we've worked very effectively over the years. I think that when we don't agree, we have reasoned, sometimes passionate discourse, and certainly we've had times when we didn't agree. And I think we'd also agree that we've always had a level of respect as we worked through the problems. And I'm very grateful for that.
Same.
So what was that question again?
This is going to be a great meeting. The thing that you're most proud of, the one accomplishment that you're most proud of, and why that's relevant to Toledo Rotarians.
I've had a very interesting year as governor. And one of the reasons I've had an interesting year is I've addressed the issues of our status quo. Where are we right now? How did we get here? And what are our traditions? And we should think about our traditions. We're a very, very successful organization. Rotary International is over 100 years old. We've got 1.4 million Rotarians. You can't go anywhere in the world without running into Rotarians. We're successful for a number of reasons. One of them is our traditions. But as I was looking at them and saying, how do we get here? The district is successful. We've had a wonderful year, in part thanks to Toledo and other clubs. But as I think about this, the district is also, it's going to be a theme. The district sits in a pot of water and looks green just like a frog. And the water's getting hotter every year. But it's never horrible. So for every year, we've had a problem of membership. Not in Toledo, but the district itself. It's easy to ignore the problem. I'll come back to that issue in a moment. But as I was looking at it, you start talking about the traditions that we have. We've been doing certain things for 100 years. And I'm certain those things were useful 100 years ago, but we're living in a society that is rapidly changing, and things that used to work aren't working anymore. And it's a funny thing when you go and talk about people's traditions. They get very crunchy. They have some, we get used to doing certain things in certain ways, even though we don't remember why, and they're not working anymore. And I challenge those, and I'm very proud of that.
So let's talk specifically. One of those traditions is the district conference, and you took a different approach to that this year. Can you share with the members, high level, what those metrics of that, of your alternative to a district conference was? The day of service. Do you recall how many hundreds of people attended the day of service and dollars raised and all of that? I'm putting you on the spot.
You're also taking these questions out of order.
I am, that's right.
Okay. You look at the district conference, and every Rotary district in the entire world does a district conference. And you need a district conference of some sort. We're a social service organization, and you have to do something. We didn't do a normal district conference, and the last one, we did one in 2 years ago in Cleveland. It cost $100,000. We had 175 members present. That meant that we had 95 or 96% of the members, which is probably everybody in this room, pay for a conference and get absolutely no value for it. The next year, we had a $37,000 conference at Maumee Bay State Park. We had 165 people, so we had even less. And that meant that 95% of you who didn't go paid for it and got nothing for it. And that's crazy. The response from me was, we're not doing one. The response from Rotary International is, you are doing one because you're required to. And I said, well, you guys pay for it. And then they said, well, let's see what happens. And what we did is we had about 5, it's a little hard to know because we had people we didn't know or come in and just start doing the work, which is great. But it was a little hard to control the crowd. But I'm thinking we got about 550 people there, so that's what, 3 times as many people. And we spent $40,000. I just divided it in quarters, sent each quadrant $10,000, and said, I don't care what you do. Go smoke cigarettes on a corner as long as you do it together.
Sadly, that was his exact recommendation at the club assembly was, here's what we're going to do.
And they took that, the assistant governors especially, and all of the club presidents, and they all did 4 really different things. One had a concert and gave the $10,000 to Mesa. One had a food bank for their 11 counties, and they take the $10,000, they added another another couple $1,000 to it. And so they took the $10,000 and they put $12,000 into their food bank, not counting the food. In the Northwest, in this area, we did 3 things. Actually, you guys did 3 things. You know, we had a children's playhouse system built, which Habitat for Humanity will parlay into a $7,500 going into their coffers. We did a blanket program for kids in the foster system, which is just heart-rending. And we did a park cleanup, and we also had really crappy weather. That had 155 people. The northeast quadrant had a traditional meeting. They had 100 people there. They had a speaker. It was a very nice event. Good thing to do. They got really excited about their brag rags that we've talked about. I think it was different. I think that there was problems. I think it could be improved upon, but it is a good use of money, far better than what we've been doing in the past.
Congratulations. If you had to sum up the year in just 3 words, and I'm going to make him stick to that, you get 3 words. What are the 3 words?
Prudence. Weren't expecting that, were you?
Well, you've already gone over 3. I like you weren't expecting that, were you? That's actually a pretty good summary of the year.
Yeah.
No, prudence, all right.
Collaboration and respect. And when I say prudence, I mean prudence, fiscal prudence. We spend a lot of money in the district. You know, we only approve of $158,000 budget, but we actually process more than $600,000 through the district, and we don't have a whole lot of conversation about that. I think I started talking about that. Collaboration. We just talked about the Quadrant Conference. That can't happen without collaboration. And you just heard Adam Cassie talk about partnership with the Canadians. That requires collaboration. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. And the last one is respect. It's the issue of respecting the clubs. I'm going to have more to say about this later if I get the right questions. But it's recognizing that the most important organization within the greater organization is the clubs. And they need more love. They need more respect.
The role of district governor is very different than the role of a club president, right? But all of our district governors are past club presidents. When you look back on your role, what has surprised you most about being district governor for District 6600?
If you're not going to stay in order, how are you going to expect me to come up with this?
I'm not going to stay in order.
No, you're not. You never did. I've never known you to color within the lines. Not one time. Okay, so now I'm having to make this stuff up a bit. So what did surprise me? Back to the issue of traditions. Traditions are a good thing. This club has certainly got it. I walk into this club 5 years ago, or probably 5 years into the future, we've got traditions, and we don't even think about it. Most organizations don't, but there are what makes the organization work. So let's be careful in terms of any questioning about traditions. But our traditions in the district, they lead to certain things. You know, we get used to having a district conference. We get used to having all Ohio pets. We get used to doing multiple training events through the year, whether or not they're effective. We just get used to it. It's our tradition. How in the world can you not do it? What we should be doing is questioning our traditions, whether or not they're effective. And I didn't think about that, quite honestly, coming into it. It took me a while. But those traditions lead to important decisions. You know, if you make a decision to have participation in all Ohio pets in Columbus at a hotel, and you're going to do that, that's going to lead you to signing a 6-year, $50,000 every year agreement just because. That's a lot of money. It has financial ramifications, it has results ramifications, and it has ramifications to our thinking. If you don't analyze the results of the traditions, if you don't analyze what you're doing, you're just doing it by rote, and that can be a problem. And if you challenge somebody's traditions, people get very, very upset, I learned. You know, it's kind of like, here's what I learned. I can give you all that I learned in about, you count the words. Never, ever, ever, whether it's traditions or babies, never call the baby ugly.
I said at the start of the year when we were having the conversation around the budget, I had shared with people sort of the analogy that, you know, when you put your head down and go for a walk, it's easy to get off the path. And if the next person picks up and they put their head down and they walk down the path, you got to look up to realize that you're lost, right? To realize you're off the path. Nobody wants to be the leader that looks up and says, I think we might be off the path. I think we may have gotten off what we wanted to do. And little by little, 2%, 3%, 4% every year, I think our district, from my perspective, has gotten off the path. And Tim, you were the leader that was willing to stand up and go, I think we might be lost, right? $50,000 to train incoming presidents in Columbus, at which fewer than half club presidents attend. Over half of the attendees from our district are not club presidents. They're folks that are there for the open bar and the hotel food. I don't know why, but they went there for it. And you were willing to challenge those things, and I appreciate that. All of that said, right? So there's, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about the challenges, talking about the areas where, we feel that the district may be letting members down, maybe letting Rotary down. Despite all of that, was there a moment in your year as district governor where you said, and this is what Rotary's about. This is why I'm a Rotarian?
That's supposed to be the fifth question. I'm looking at all the answers to the...
I think it's supposed to be the sixth question, but
We're going to get in an argument about this, so I'm not going to answer that question yet.
Well, that's all right.
'Cause
What question would you like me to ask?
You
This
started
would be a great
talking
discussion.
about, was there a moment where we were on the wrong path? And that's supposed to be, it says right here, question number 7, and it's not. But it's the reason I came today. It's the reason that I think we have to address, and it's going to be painful when we address it. Rotary, District 6600, measures the wrong stuff. There's a lot to that, bundled into that very short sentence. What we do, not just us, not just our district, but all of districts, because Rotary International wants us to do it and demands that we measure foundation, membership, and public image. And we do a good job at it. And we do a good job raising money for polio and keeping track of membership. That's what we do. Every business person in this room knows that what you measure gets fixed. If you don't measure it, it doesn't get fixed. This is a very important point, and it's not going to be easy. What we should be looking at is, instead of membership and foundation and public image, we should be measuring within our district member engagement. It's a very different thing from just trying to add new members. It's how much are the members engaged. And they're telling us. When Adam Cassie puts 200, or where's Janina, is she here? When they put 200 people in a tent in Napoleon, they're telling us that they're engaged. They want more of that. When we have 200 people consecutively participating in a peace conference, they're telling us, if only we would listen, that they care about that. When you have, last year, I don't know what the numbers are this year, when you have 145 people actually doing stuff on a base of bike ride, I'm talking not just the bike riders, but the people that flip pancakes and drive the sag wagons, there's a message there. When, where's Carol Sobchak? Carol Sobchak, when she takes 25 people to Evanston, all on their own dime, they're telling us stuff. But we have to listen. It's right there in front of us. The same thing is true, making a slight shift away from members, to clubs using services, whether it's the services the district provides for our youth study exchange, or the MESA platform, or I don't know, it could be all kinds of things that we do. They're either using them or not. If we were to be tracking their usage, that would change how we think. Same thing is true with club projects. This information is there. It's easily attained. It's easily measured. but you have to give it some importance to do it. You know, we know how many clubs are engaged with their communities, because they tell us. If we were to track it and put some importance to it, we would change what we look like in terms of membership. There's a lot of reasons Toledo is doing as well as it is. One of them is the projects that you're engaged in. You know, the other one is what's track. You actually know how many people participate in stuff, but the district doesn't. And if you don't think this idea is revolutionary, think of it this way. The purpose of the district is to feed the foundation.
I want to just jump in to clarify. So when we're talking about foundation, obviously it gets confusing for us because Toledo Rotary has its own foundation. But the foundation Tim's talking about is Rotary International's foundation. And so there's a handful of you that give to both Toledo Rotary and to Rotary International. The purpose of the district, one of the metrics that RI, one of the key metrics they track, is the giving to the Rotary Foundation in Evanston, Illinois. And so I just want to clarify, that's the foundation you're talking about.
That's a very important point. Thank you for making that clarification. The difference between the two creates a tension. If I want to make Rotary International happy, and hey, I'm a district governor, I want to make them happy, I got to feed the foundation. But if I am the president of the Toledo Rotary Club, a very prestigious job, I've got to...
It is?
I've got to make sure that the Toledo Rotary Foundation is fed so that we can serve the community. Those are two different things, and they are in opposition to each other. If I ruled the world, I'd ask every district governor to tell me which he or she favors, the serving our communities or sending money to RI. And if you don't think that's heresy, it is. How are we doing for time?
We're good.
Okay. This issue of understanding the difference between the two and what we measure, if we did this, and I think we should at the district level, it would change who we are, and it would start to impact who gets to make decisions about how money is spent. Remember, it's $600,000. It would change not just who makes the decisions, but who gets credit for those decisions. And that is a major revolutionary change.
I think it transitions well into the next question. I'll come back to the one you don't want to answer. Maybe we'll get to there later. As you pass the torch to the next district governor, what's a piece of advice that you're leaving behind that you hope that she follows?
You know, if you're district governor, you go to Evanston, and they talk to you and train you, and it's good. Then you go to a zone, and you get a lot of other district governors, and basically it's RI talking to you and saying how important the foundation is, and it is, how important polio is, and it is, how important membership is. By the time you get done being district governor, at least in my case, what I learned is the most important thing in Rotary is the clubs. What the clubs are doing or not doing is more important than anything that the district is doing, full stop. If you don't have healthy clubs, nothing else matters. And all of my training, becoming district governor tells me, take care of what Rotary International wants, and we should. But the most important thing is, you know, it matters when the Elyria Sunrise Club can't buy football helmets for the football team, or some club can't put in a community garden. If they're not doing stuff in the community, they're not going to exist. And we need to make sure that enough resources are left to the clubs so they can actually do projects and bind themselves to the community. One of the things that's been so surprising, and I didn't press it enough because your question surprised me, is what the clubs do is amazing. When I talk $600,000, I'm not talking about what they're spending on their own. They're doing a wonderful and innovative things, and they know more about what's going on in their communities than any district governor is ever going to know. Give them the flexibility to do it and respect the fact that they got to get it done. Can you get back on track, please?
I can, I won't. So you talk about club presidents, right? So district needs to listen to and respect those club presidents. What do you hope club presidents across the district take more seriously into this next year?
Wow. I think every club president has to realize that their job is to be communicating with their club and showing to their club, like this one, you know, that they have a history of service to their communities. And that's the most important thing. When you got a district governor like me coming in and say, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? That's nice, they're all polite, they like to listen to it, but more importantly, if a club president says, no, my committee, my community needs this, that absolutely rules. The best club in the district, Wauseon. And I'm a Toledo Rotarian.
So tell me more about that. You gave me an explanation on when I told you only get 3 words. And you
Okay,
dropped the bomb that
Wauseon,
Wauseon's better
nice
than
little
Toledo.
club, 35, 40 people, something like that, been around forever. For 4 years, I was the district polio chair, which some people know. For 4 years, I said to Wauseon, with the support of the district governor and all of the might of Rotary International, please let me come in and do a polio presentation. And every time, and I was deeply offended, they said no. How can you say no? You're a Rotarian. We support polio. And they were nice, mostly. And they said, you don't get it. What we want to do is improve our parks. We want to put in various parks for children with special needs. And that's going to cost us millions of dollars. And that's the only place we're spending money. So while we appreciate what you're doing, here's $25 and go away. That's literally what they said. And has anybody been to Wauseon and seen their public parks? They are nice. I mean, they are really, really nice. And so I'm begging Wauseon for something or other this year, and they're explaining to me, you know what, we're going to refurbish the parks we built 7 years ago. And I said, okay, good for you. They are a great club. And by the way, 10 new members, which doesn't compare to your 100 new members, but in Wauseon, it's a big deal.
All right. We've done a lot of different things this year. You've brought some different thinking, some bold ideas. You've challenged the status quo. You've challenged the traditions. Is there a big, bold idea that you think Rotary, Toledo Rotary, or the district should advance that you don't have time to do because you and I have got 7 days left? But who's counting?
Well, we got 20 minutes. Okay, so it took you long enough to get to this point. What I'm going to say in a minute, I didn't come too easily. And again, I don't have time to do it. I've got 7 days left. But I'm a past president, a very proud past president of the Toledo Rotary Club, which gives you kind of an interesting view coming in as district governor. I am soon to be a past district governor, and we have had a really, really good year. But there hasn't been, there's a good, how do I say this? I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't suit Toledo. I don't want to say it that way. I want to say it, Toledo can do more without the district. Toledo, by having the district sit between it and the rest of Rotary, loses the ability to exercise the influence that it can have. What the environmental committee did, not just this year, but over the last 5 years, is truly remarkable. All of it coming out of out of that committee. Is Chuck Schaub around here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Chuck Schaub said to me 5 years ago when we were talking about doing something somewhere, and it was something like, I know I'm not quoting him perfectly, but we don't really care about getting credit, we care about the results, and that's what Toledo is, and that formed a lot of what happened that ultimately led to this partnership with the Canadians where we share each other's water and commit to a long-term correction. What do you do next? Everything I have to do, and you will have to do, is going to go through our district because they have the connections with all of the other districts. We would be more effective going forward if we had it ourselves. You want to talk to the person in Traverse City or Windsor, Ontario, you got the connections. It's not just that. I'm having conversations with you. I think we should do on an experimental basis, keeping some sort of relationship with the district, the idea that we're going to stand alone and going to speak for ourselves. When we decide that we want to do something with early childhood literacy, who in the district is going to have the same perspective? You know, we happen to have an inner city area with inner city schools with inner city problems. Other large clubs, and that's where we're going to go with this, other large clubs have the same problem. But if I'm having a conversation with, I don't know, Ottawa Glandorf, they're not really getting it. It's not, it goes on and on. There are many, many things that we would be able to do more effectively, at least try to do more effectively, than we can do with the district. Looking at it from the district's point of view, remember we talked about tradition? Traditionally, we are geographically tied to this area. That's okay, we can deal with those issues. But this club is 40 times bigger than Stryker. I mean, what do you do with that? And Stryker has an equal voice in terms of what goes on. I have a district budget of $158,000, and I don't know what yours is, but it's a lot bigger.
It's bigger.
Yeah, well, I said bitterly that budget that got refused. I haven't forgotten.
Your budget was a little bit smaller than you tried to get it to be.
Yes, it was. Actually, traditions. For domestic spending, this year, this is money that the district can spend on clubs, at the request of clubs, $61,000 in total. $61,000. You got $250,000. You got $250,000 that you spend in your community every year. These aren't the same. These don't work together. The district gets upset because you don't contribute what they think you should be contributing to the foundation, and that's a tension we talked about. But you get upset because they're upset because they want part of your $250,000. It isn't working. We would be better off having some sort of relationship with Atlanta Rotary Club or Tacoma Rotary Club, clubs that look a lot more like us, clubs that have inner city communities, clubs that have all kinds of big city issues, clubs that we can learn from. What good does it do for the president of the Toledo Rotary Club to ask advice from the governor of District 6600? What should our executive director's maternity leave policy be? They don't have one. It's not that I'm not criticizing anybody. People respond to the things that they're rewarded from. I'm just saying that we should explore the idea of separating ourselves from the district. I doubt that this club would notice anything, and see if we can expand our reach and our capabilities.
So there's currently a dotted line relationship between Toledo and those other large clubs that you mentioned. For those of you that don't know, we attend a large club conference every year. It's an opportunity for our incoming presidents to connect with other large club presidents around the country. And then there's that solid line connection geographically, which, if you think about when Rotary was founded, geographical connections make sense. As I've shared with Tim, our President's Council is Toledo, Perrysburg, Maumee, Reynolds Corners, Oregon, Northwood,
Swanton.
Waterville, White House. Swanton?
They never go, but yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know that I've seen Swanton there all year. That was news to me. All right. So,
Other issues?
but over half of our meetings are on Zoom. So there really isn't a need for that geographical tie as much today as there was years ago. All right, so let's put a pin in that. I'm sure we're going to come back to it. There's going to be a lot more conversations that would need to happen for that to progress. As we wrap up, let's talk about legacy. What do you hope people say about you as district governor 5 years from now?
Well, they'll probably say a number of things. First, is he still alive? Did Cindy stay with him? I think that one of two things will happen. I think that they will realize that we addressed issues that needed to be talked about, whether it was popular or not. And they'll either think he was the biggest dope in the world or a soothsayer. I guess we'll find out.
Let's go back to the question you didn't want to answer earlier. What was that moment this year when you said, this is what Rotary is about? This is why I'm a Rotarian?
I didn't answer it because I didn't have one moment this year. I had lots of moments. When I'm going into a meeting I met with every club and every board. And to see how much they cared about what's going on, whether it's helping out the family of a police or fire person, or books. I've had the opportunity with some people in this room to partner with projects. This club, some years ago, we did heart transplants in El Salvador, and I got to hold those babies, with Cindy actually, as they were going into surgery. You guys probably don't remember, bought something called oxygenators. I'm looking at Greg. And 41 of the 42 lived. And I held the one that didn't. But 41 lived. I'm a Rotarian. I'm going to be a Rotarian till the day I die. We do so many things. When I go to bed at night, whether I did anything useful or not, I'm a Rotarian, and this organization, we saved lives, we helped people. And it brings meaning to my life. So if you're asking for one thing, I don't have one, Kevin. It's a lifestyle. When I go to a Rotary meeting, I'm engaging with the community. When I give money to the foundation, I'm saving lives and make our community better. And if I'm getting upset, live with it.
Before we close, I know this is not something you've done alone. And I know there's some folks in the room that have been helpful to you throughout your year. I just want to give you a moment to say thank you to folks that have been alongside you this year, whether they're in the room or not. This is going to be on YouTube and it's going to go viral, I know it. But who are the folks that have helped you that you want to take a moment to say thank you to?
Cindy Allen, I would say thank you even if I wasn't knowing what would come back if I didn't. Just couldn't have got through the year without you. I see Gary Newton, who has been my advisor for the last few months. You always have picked up the phone. You've calmed me down a few times and restructured the message. Everyone in this room knows Helen Balanis. Helen and I have many years working together, and she's been an advisor to me throughout the year. I have to thank everybody in this room, whether I know you or not. I've sat on committees with you over the years. You formed my thinking, and I'm grateful to where I was able to take it. The assistant governors are the people that are the unsung heroes. They're the ones that made the quadrant conferences work. All of the people in this room and across the district, Melanie Satterfield, Shirley Ann Hull, people that made the installation work, and the people that I saw Phil Morrissey here.
Right in front of you.
Phil is a gentleman, for those that you don't know it, who did a lot of work putting together a couple of films that have caught fire from here to Evanston and all the way to the West Coast and all the way to Florida. The videos that he put forward you never know how far you can reach. We've raised thousands of bucks for environmental projects in our area because he can tell a good story on video. I can't let this go without saying thank you, Phil. Anyway, I know that I'm forgetting some people, and I'm going to feel bad about it when it's over, but so many people in this room and across the district have just been amazing. I've had a wonderful experience in terms of feeling like I've served my community and I've served Rotary, and I hope we've moved to a better place. Kevin, I know you're going to wrap this up because I can feel the hook. I think you and I represent a lot of the best of Rotary. We've had some harsh words, but we've never stopped being friends, and we've never disrespected each other. And as I said earlier, I'm grateful for that. And for everyone in this room, thank you.
Being district governor is a big job. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of, certainly in the case of this year, it's a lot of stress. But it's something you do because you believe in the work of Rotary. You believe in the work of our clubs. The icing on the cake is that you become a part of this fraternity of now past district governors that I feel like I want to call out and just say, because of the way you've led, because of the way you've challenged, you are not a welcomed member of that fraternity, and that is a shame. You have led with integrity, you have led with the four-way test, and you have led with the motto of service above self, and you've been a phenomenal representative and a phenomenal example for all of us. On behalf of Toledo Rotary, on behalf of the district, Tim, thank you for your service. Round of applause for District Governor Tim Ryan. I did not expect to have time for questions, but Tim stuck to just 3 words when I asked him for them, so it worked. So if anybody has any questions, I'm going to pass a microphone to Zach here. If you've got questions, Zach's going to be in the middle of the room. We've got time for, I think, 1 or 2. Kurt?
Are you surprised? Haven't been up here for a while to ask a question. But thank you, District Governor Tim Ryan. Appreciate all you've done, as well as you, President Kevin Mullen, as you're ending your season. Tim, you've mentioned a couple things that struck me. First, you've talked about collaboration, but then you've also said Toledo needs to stand on its own. As we all know, many of the smaller clubs look at us like the gorilla in the room. How can you do both and still get that feeling that we're all Rotarians in this together?
That's a good question. We are all Rotarians, and we understand that we have to collaborate. I'm not suggesting for a second we just abandon our relationships with Maumee and Bowling Green and Wasion. We would continue that stuff, and we would be concerned about what they want to do. But we also want to collaborate with others. If Toledo wants to connect with the Fort Wayne Rotary Club, it has no way to really do it except for going through the district, and then that district connects to the other district. Two unnecessary steps. If we stood by ourselves, we would have, district governors meet each other. I go to zone meetings, I go to All Ohio Pets meetings, I go to Rotary International meetings, and you get face to face. If we played a bigger role, maybe as in partnership or alone as a district, we'd have those connections ourselves without the steps in between, allowing us to have greater collaboration, not less.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, Tim. One more round of applause. District Governor Tim Ryan. I have to go back here for my other notes. These notes are in order. Jackie put these together, and she will kill me if I don't stick to them. Tim, thank you very much. We do have, as a thank you, certainly we're going to make a donation in your name to Rotary International's Polio Plus Fund. I know that has personal meaning to you. We also are pleased to present to you. Surprise. The Rotary baseball cap for you to represent Toledo Rotary everywhere you go. I was going to make a comment about protecting him from sunburn, but I think I just did. All right. I hope everybody will join us. We've talked about it for the last few weeks now. If you don't already know where you're going next Monday, I need you to scan that QR code, sign up for a project. I am going to be personally shaming every single one of you that does not go to a service project next Monday. My goal from the beginning of the year was to have 100 people. That is our typical Monday attendance, and so we've taken some Mondays off to go do service, and I hope that you'll join us next Monday for our final Rotary meeting of the year. We currently have 56 Rotarians signed up. If you've already signed up for a project, please stand. You can stand, that's fine. That doesn't count, Karen. All right, so if you're sitting, if you're standing, feel free to look down on the people who are sitting. All right, so thank you for those of you who signed up. Those of you who have not yet, I see you, and I'm coming for you. This has been a phenomenal year. Tim took a moment to thank some people. I'll have an opportunity in a couple of weeks to do more detailed thank yous, but I just want to say this doesn't happen without a lot of people doing a lot of things. I've had the privilege of being up on this stage and taking a lot of credit for a lot of our committee and staff's work, and that's been a lot of fun. But the reality is it takes a lot of people to do a lot of things, and we've had a wonderful year, and so I appreciate all of our committee leaders. I appreciate everybody who's volunteered and supported serving on committees, who's donated to our foundation, who's attended the golf outing, donated to support that, to help us continue to do this great work. I also am not going to end my Rotary year without a huge thank you to two people that have carried more this year than all the rest of us combined. One of them carried a human for a good chunk of the year as well. Thank you to Karen for all of your work in telling the story. She didn't carry a baby. I'm getting there. I said one of them. Thank you to Karen for your work in telling the story of Rotary and sharing the great things that Toledo Rotary is doing and helping us grow. We have added 100 new members this year. At the end of this week, that number will jump to 113. We have 13 applications to review at our next board meeting. Thank you. And for the one who carried a human for a good chunk of the year, but yet still managed to stay connected, still managed to build relationships with new Rotarians, and continues to amaze me with her ability to connect and remember people's names and faces and keep all of us on track. I had a previous boss refer to me as a fart in a skillet, and that is an accurate term. Jackie has somehow managed to put a top on that and keep me focused, at least for some of this year. That's not the compliment I intended it to be, but Jackie, thank you very much for everything you've done. If you do not have your Rotarian at Work t-shirt, please grab one on the way out. We'll be back here July 14th for Changing the Guard when we install Scott Hinshaw as our club's, I think, 114th president. Peace Committee is going to be meeting in Summit A. Please go out and make it a great day. We will see you Monday at our Service Above Self Day, and we are adjourned.